We have come to the end of the questioning of John Webb, the detective sergeant who was with the Special Demonstration Squad from 92 until 97. I'm joined by BristleKRS. Though it was a very welcome change of tone and pace from the questioning of Bob Lambert, he continued to be someone who couldn't remember a great deal of stuff or didn't see the significance of things that he did know. What did you make of what he had to say?
Well, Brian, I'd say it was a game of two halves. He started off fast. He was well-paced. He was nipping around the pitch. He was answering questions speedily, to the point, succinctly. It was a real refreshing switch up of a game. But coming back after the break, and it was back to just dogging things around the goal mouth, and a lot of don't recall, I don't recall that, I don't recall, I don't think I wrote that, I wouldn't have written that. There's a lot of that stuff on documents that have got his initials on.
Yeah.
So it was frustrating that after what seemed like was going to be a nice breezily different take on things, just reverted back to digging their heels in and not being very candid or forthcoming, especially as he didn't have so much of a dog in the fight as the office flunky. He didn't really have much to lose by being more honest or more candid. And in the end, he just fell in with the rest of the crew and was being Mr. Forgetful over pretty much everything. Very little in the way of revelations, I'd say. Yeah,
very little indeed. He, even though, as you say, his name was on a whole bunch of stuff, which he just claimed he didn't. Like he, for example, he was recorded as having updated one of the sections of the tradecraft manual. He claimed he'd never even seen the tradecraft manual.
Yeah, and even though in that document, which he has proofread and edited and has been released under his initials, even though it's saying it's a guide for best practice, he even at that point he is saying, well, it's just suggestions.
It's not operational instructions.
No.
I mean, ridiculous, quite frankly. He admitted to knowing that HN1, a cover named Matt Rayner, had a deceitful sexual relationship with Liz Fuller. He says he only found this out at the debrief interview in Bordeaux. I bet there was a fair few officers who were desperate to go and do that particular gig.
Yeah.
But he didn't feel the need to tell anybody. Oh, he might have told Bob.
Yeah,
in conversation, but he didn't see. He said, well, he didn't feel it was relevant to any of the sort of paperwork.
I mean, that definitely seems in line with organizational culture. I mean, also the very suggestion. Why was this taking place in Bordeaux? It didn't seem to compute with him in a way that it would with a normal person.
Yeah.
But in terms of kind of the conversations he's specifically having about these issues, that I think he was slightly putting himself into knots over that because he was being confronted with some pretty straightforward, obvious, common sense things. If a subordinate is telling you something which is against your organization's policy, you don't just not tell anyone.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty standard. He didn't really have any answers for that.
He really didn't. I mean, he seemed like he seemed a bit put out that he was being asked, well, why didn't you tell anyone? He said, well, I didn't feel it was relevant. Yeah. And then when he was like, well, if it had been crime, would you have told someone? Oh, I would have told someone then. I mean, what I thought was very telling was when he was asked about Christine Green and the fact that she was in a sexual relationship with Joe Tex, that he would have passed that on. And what's the difference? And he, like desperately trying to work out why, in the case of a woman, he would report it or not. He kind of, very unsatisfactory answer of like, oh well, she would have been deployed at the time, whereas HM1 had finished, so it was all right. I mean, it didn't really add up for me.
He kind of got into trouble as well when it was being put to him that a lot of the things that were being shown in the evidence were suggestive of misogynistic culture within the SDS, and from an early start where he was general criticism of the organization, he really kind of seems to just switch things around after the break. And I do wonder whether he had any conversations with anyone about the approach you've been taking to start with, because there seemed to be a sea change in how he was taking the questions after that point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really felt like before the break he wasn't really, he was just engaged, he was just answering. First thing that came into his head. But then second half it was a lot more guarded. There was a lot more don't recalls and like realizing perhaps he shouldn't be saying certain things. I mean, I thought it was very telling that when he was talking about HM1's deceitful sexual relationship with Liz Fuller, he said, well, how deceitful, I don't know how deceitful it actually was. I couldn't comment. I saw some part of it must have been deceitful, which, I mean, was more defensive of the relationship than HM1 was.
Yeah. I mean, that did seem like oddly pointed on his part. It was one of those ones where it was difficult to understand exactly what the pivot point on these things are, why he's really digging in his heels on this particular one aspect of that line of questioning, but not on the whole thing. Right. So making those qualified concessions, but digging his heels in on other elements. The other thing, there were some real elements of truth, I think, coming through with details. So where he's talking about the conversation, was it HM1 about Jim Boiling?
Yes. He
just very casually mentions, HM1's in the back of my car.
Yeah.
Like very specific, not in my car, in the back of my car.
Yeah.
He's picturing something where someone is literally behind him on the other side of the car.
Yeah, I mean, it was very much like he'd come to visit myself and my wife, after we both left the police. And it's like, it's obviously in the, before they get back to where the ladies are, it's in the car, it's when the lads are chatting. And you very much, you painted a picture of that, didn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
I thought another moment which I thought was probably true was when he was asked about the police attack on protesters at Earl's Court after the Red Express, and he said, "Oh, I thought that was a football thing. I thought that was been something we'd done to unruly football fans, and it was just rolled out against anti-fascists that one time." And I think that was probably very true. I imagine it was in the playbook.
He didn't have any conception that there might be something wrong with it.
No, not at all. It was like, well, it's what we do to football fans, obviously. So no, he didn't. And I think that I think it was those moments where he didn't realize it would be a problem that he kind of was the most unguarded.
Yeah, we push people out of helicopters all the time.
No, there was a few other little bits as well where his whole sort of like. It wasn't really a problem. He sort of didn't see why there was a fuss being made about certain things.
Yeah, particularly with like women.
Yeah.
And anything to do with the possibility that the unit might be doing something that's probably intended to be quite misogynistic. For an operational reason.
I mean, but also the recording of race in the reports. It was very much of the opinion that it is the blacks, that it is just being descriptive. This is just informed. It is young black men with a problem. I mean, he portrayed his attitudes very strongly there.
I would say. The first half, I didn't come away thinking I like this guy.
No,
it was just by comparison with so many other witnesses, just professionally like getting through the questions, answering them straightforward. Not.
I don't think we can emphasize enough of the contrast of that from what we'd had from Bob Lambert for the last 4 days. It has been excruciatingly slow. Everything's so incredibly measured. Lots of big pauses, pretending not to hear the question. To have that rapid fire question, rapid fire answer was just like, oh, here we go. Thank goodness. We're back in the real world. So, I mean, similarly, I mean, I had to tell myself, no, we don't like this. Like, you just got to remind yourself because I'm tweeting so much during it, I was just like relieved to be able to like fill the spell on a regular basis. Every couple of minutes there was something else to say, which was just like in just such a contrast from what I've been doing all week.
And the other like aspect that I thought was quite interesting was Peter Francis being in the room. So he came and he was observing this sort of probably about half of Bob Lambert's evidence this morning, but it was also there for all of John Webb's because some of the evidence was coming up about conversations that Webb had with Peter Francis, at various times and reports that he'd put through. So I felt that there was obviously something that Peter Francis was interested in hearing what Webb was going to say about. I couldn't quite place my finger on specifically what it was. I wondered whether it was something to do with Trevor Morris, some of the previous statements that we'd heard, where what Peter Francis has said in support of Trevor Morris, or a particular kind of narrative that he was putting forward that was being undermined by most of the other police witnesses. I was wondering whether it was going to be about where Webb would stand on that. But it was certainly interesting to kind of have that moment of frisson, that tension in the room.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think it was very telling how defensive that John Webb was about HN86 and about Bob Potter, who he defended pretty much. Said he'd never heard any racism from either of them. Like really downplayed Bob Potter's outburst, claims that this incident that we've heard so much about, the racially abusing people and ending up being medically discharged from the police, that he had never heard of that, which was just not credible.
No, not in the least. I mean, right down to the kind of. Potty. I just thought he was a bit irrational. Was it? Yeah.
It's a potty. I didn't think it meant. I mean, to be fair, when they say potty Bob, I didn't think it meant he had potty mouth Bob. I think potty Bob was he's bloody nuts, which I think was what he was referring to. I was like, fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't get a nickname like that normally without a bit of a backstory.
Yeah, quite.
There's an anecdote that goes with it, and the anecdote that goes with it that explains that is that whole thing you've denied knowing about.
Yeah. Though, I mean, maybe there were a load of other incidents. I mean, we did hear. I mean, Lambert did refer that there was another incident which I won't mention all the details of. So there was obviously something else that happened that was high profile with Bob Potter that hasn't come up in any of the questioning so far.
But when we're actually thinking about it, when Webb was doing his little pen portraits of the DCIs and the DIs, wasn't there a bit where he mentioned one of them being unpredictable?
Yes, yeah. He said that was it Edmondson that he said was unpredictable and slow to make decisions. They're also rigid. I mean, I think when he first opened, he's like, oh God, he's being candid, because he was quite critical of some other senior management, and I thought, oh well, here we go. But that didn't really manifest itself throughout all of the questioning.
No, I mean, his impression of Bob Lambert was that he was he was a listening boss, reactive,
decisive but inclusive.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
which I mean just sounds like absolute. Like Bob would be like, just say this about me, John. You know what I mean? It just felt like it was. Thanks for that.
Yeah, there's one published author to another.
Yeah. Yeah, quite.
The book mafia.
The book mafia. Yeah, I mean, you are the person who has read the most of these kind of books, and I keep saying that we should do some podcast episodes with your book reviews.
You want to kill us off?
I mean, the thing is that in order for me to do a podcast episode with you, I would have to have some sort of working knowledge of these books, and I don't think I've got it in me. But in terms of authorship, how do you rank John Webb?
I mean, it's a book about seagulls. I mean, I mean, what can you say? It is literally a book about seagulls.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull, that's a sort of equal level, would you say?
Zoe from Cops had some very negative things to say about the way that the anthropomorphized seagulls were socializing with each other. She was not happy. But I haven't checked out his more recent thrillers.
Right, okay.
Possibly because
life's too short.
My nerves have been so frayed by the Roger Pierce thrillers.
Right, yes.
Where he's definitely not plagiarizing his own work life.
No, I mean those were. I mean, like just, but with a lot more murder, as I understand it. Yeah,
but with a sexy central police character.
Yes, yeah.
Can't think who they modelled that on. Though.
Well, couldn't possibly be him. Yeah, so you have been to the inquiry before. I didn't manage to get you onto the video before, but do you want to give us your overall sort of like impressions of the process?
Well, it's. How to explain it to someone that's not been? It is about as institutionalized as it's possible to get.
Very much.
It's in a commercial building where the staff absolutely lovely, but I mean it's a building where you're herded from one room to another. There's no real explanation about what's necessarily going on. All of the wigs are at the front. When the judge comes in, all of the lawyers all stand up. Everybody in the public gallery doesn't have to, but then you can't really see what's going on. So, and then some oral stuff happens, and some questions are asked, and police witnesses tend to waffle on a bit, and then there's a break, and then you have to walk a long way to get to any toilets.
Oh, God, yeah, I could moan for quite a long time about that thing. I mean, sometimes there's flights of stairs are involved as well.
Yeah, but it is both interesting and like being at an airport and flights cancelled.
Yeah. That's a very good description.
Lots of corridors that look the same and sitting around, and instead of screaming babies and people being thrown off planes for being too drunk, it's just John Mitten telling a police witness that he's not very impressed and he wants him to think about what he said and come back tomorrow and just make sure that what you're telling me is the truth.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think that is the high point of the day. That particular thing. I mean, essentially, John Mitting at the end of Lambert's evidence, telling him that he's probably going to find in a way that is adverse to him.
Yeah, I think it was like an upper class English version of a proper pub car park towing. Really.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think very much. I mean, I think that's as hard as it gets.
I might find it adverse.
Yeah. Which I mean, I think absolutely damning. As far as Minty is concerned, we've got a big change of pace tomorrow. It's not an undercover police officer. It's not an undercover police officer's manager. It is an activist, and in many ways, it is the activist. It's Helen Steele, baby. Whoop, whoop. We're gonna be hearing from the woman who I think has been the most mentioned in this entire process. Certainly the one who I think struck most fear into the unit. They spent the most money on trying to avoid her tracking down and unmasking them.
Codename Domino. She pushed them all down.
yeah, absolutely. Are you going to be joining us for that?
Sadly, no. This is a one-off. Saw that there was a Bob Lambert and John Webb. I mean, both on the 18th of June. I mean, I had to have my little J18 holiday.
Fair play. I mean, it was almost like the Hay Festival or something. Two authors, double bill.
Oh, what would happen? What would happen if there, kind of been an explosion somewhere in central London on this day? I mean, we could have lost two laureates in one.
Absolutely, yeah. Shocking. Well, thanks for joining us. That was it for today. We'll be back in tomorrow. Do tune in for Helen Steele. I think it will be good. You'll be following from a distance, so I would hope.
Yeah, online definitely.
Yeah, and you can do that too, or come on down. Would you recommend people come?
I would definitely. Yeah, there are free hot drinks and biscuits. Yes. I very nice posh biscuits, not the cheap stuff, and Viscounts in foil.
Yes, there's some and when they get vegan biscuits, they get Rhythm 108, which I mean I would say is absolutely top tier when it comes to a vegan biscuit. And
you're paying for this anyways. It's coming out of taxation, so
yeah, you might as well come.
It's free, but you've already paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks for joining us, and please, if you are able to like, share, subscribe to these videos, makes a huge difference to how much we've seen. See you again tomorrow. Bye for now.